So I've been playing D&D recently, and we're currently going through the Lost Mines of Phandelver campaign, like the starter set. We've been doing it for like about a year now. It's been taking a lot longer than it probably should have, but it's just about scheduling sessions. If you play D&D, you are aware that this is like an issue, that trying to get everyone to kind of plan around and get this session even like once a week. Sometimes it's like once every other week or once a month, and we went like a few months without even playing at all. But I've been playing D&D, so I thought I'd go over books that people would like if they play D&D. Before we get into it, there is, if you've got the Player's Handbook, there is in the back a list of inspirational reading, which is good, but it's also got like tons of recommendations, which at first glance is quite overwhelming, and like you're not going to read all of those, at least not from the get-go. You can probably go back and have a look at those, but there are a few in there that I'm going to mention today, kind of pick out the key ones I think are quite good, and I'll add a couple more of my extra ones. So I've got about 10, I think, 10 or 11 maybe, recommendations. So let's get into it. The first one I'm going to talk about is obviously going to be The Wheel of Time. This one is a massive series. There's like 15 books, I think. 14, it's either 14 books plus a prequel book or 15 books plus a prequel book. Either way, there's a lot. I'm currently not finished it, so I'm going to recommend it, but with an asterisk, because I've not finished it myself. But I am on like book 9 or 10, so I'm a fair way into it, and I'm quite liking it. Even if you just read the first few, you're getting something. These ones are quite good. It's what you define as epic fantasy. Like, there is so much to it. Each book is like, what, 700, 800 pages each? So there is a lot of content for you to get through. So that one will take you a fair while. I like to listen to that one on Audible, whatever you want to listen to on. I'm not sponsored. But I like to listen to that one because it means that I can still physically read a few different books, but have a series on the go at the same time, and that doesn't like take up all my reading. But that one is very good, I do recommend. Next on the list is one I don't actually have a physical copy of, and that's the series A Wizard of Earthsea. If you've not read it, it's very good. I can't really say too much about it because I've read the first one, I think, and I've not got around to reading the others yet, but I've got a couple people, like a couple friends that have read it, and they recommend it quite heavily, so like I'll go by their recommendations and say that this is also a good one to pick up. I'll move on from here. If you'd like to give that one a read, go do so and let me know what you think of it in the comments, because I've only read the first one. I need to get to the other one at some point, but my TBR is full at the minute. My next few recommendations are going to be if you play a rogue. And by that I mean The Lies of Loch Lamora. This one is street thieves, kind of heist-esque kind of stuff, and it's quite not so much as gritty, but like the tone is a lot more, there's a bit darker than I'd say some of the other ones I've recommended. Not heavily. I've got others in a second that I'd say are darker than this, but this is more like kind of street thieves, kind of heist-esque kind of stuff, and this one's very good. And on a similar note, if you prefer a more like magic-based book, you've got the classic Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, or otherwise known as Mistborn. This one is absolutely phenomenal. There's a trilogy this one is in. He's got 2 trilogies out at the minute. You've got Era 1 and Era 2. So far I've only read Era 1, but this is actually amazing. If you've not read it, read this one. It's brilliant. It is, as I've said, 600 pages, and the other 2 are similar in length, so it will take you a bit, but if you're used to reading longer books like that, then it should be no issue to you whatsoever. But the magic system is amazing in that one. It's like based on metal, and like what metals you consume and what powers that gives you, and it's done in such an interesting way. Absolutely amazing. I'm gonna move on. I could talk about that one for ages. Before I do, if you'd like to know any more about that one, there is a why you should read video that I've posted on the channel before. I'll leave a link for it up there somewhere. or up there, I don't know. But yeah, go check that one out if you fancy giving it a read. Next, we've got A Song of Ice and Fire, or A Game of Thrones. Definitely a lot darker than some of the other ones, but like grittier, kind of the characters. There's a lot more like it's like anti-fantasy in a way, because it's a lot more like, instead of there being laced with kind of hope, it's kind of got a bit of a nihilistic approach to it. But I quite like it. I'm on the I think I'm on the last book now, because in the UK it's split into the last two are the same book, like it's A Dance of Dragons or whatever, but it's split into two books, so I'm on the first one of those, and so I will get a review out for that soon. But I really like it. It's a lot darker, grittier, there's a lot more adult themes, but if that's what you fancy reading, because I know quite a few people have a more what's it, like violent kind of more adult D&D campaign, and if that's what you want, then this is a definitely good recommendation. Go pick this one up. Now we're going to go for a complete U-turn and go for Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett. This one I'm currently reading now. I'm still barely the way into it, but this is absurdist fantasy at its best. Like, it's just mental, and like there is an odd bit of hope to it, which is quite good, but it's just like weird. And this is, if you want like weird D&D, this is it. I love it. One of our players at the minute that I own the campaign with has a character that's very similar to this, and it's so fun to read and just see this character and experience. Just great. I love it. But this one is, yeah, very wacky, as it says. Wacky and most original fantasy since Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's brilliant. I love it. I managed to get this one from like a second-hand shop. This is like a copy from the 1980s. Lovely. I think I've got a couple more as well, so I might have to go down and pick them up. So I finished this one. Anyway, next we have The Name of the Wind. I don't know if you've heard this one, but by Patrick Rothfuss. Very well written, quite poetic in terms of the prose. But it's, I don't really know how to describe it other than the fact that, think Harry Potter but more fantasy, and in a way kind of more intriguing, like, and slightly more adult. It's not, it doesn't like dance around those kind of more adult themes, but yeah, I don't really, it's weird to like try and describe some of these, because there's, I can give it like a very broad, like kind of vague description, and then that's really it, because I can't really do much else about it, because you've got to like go and read it for yourself. Next, I've got a couple, and that is The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. These ones I wouldn't recommend straight out of the gate. They may be classics, but if you're trying to get into fantasy, I wouldn't recommend these first, because they've just got, the prose is quite difficult. The Hobbit's a little easier to read if you want to start with that one and then move on to Lord of the Rings. But yes, the prose is a little bit more difficult to get through, and there's quite a lot of kind of long descriptions and things like that that do just end up slowing the reading down. And so start off with something like Mistborn, or if you're more comfortable with your reading, maybe go for the Wheel of Time first and then move on to these ones. They're not long, and that's the issue, because people see these as relatively short for a fantasy book and think, oh, easier read, but it just is a bit more difficult to get through. But definitely, if you get to a point where you'll feel like you'll be comfortable with reading these, give them a go, because they are really good, and these are the classics, so I will recommend them. I know people can be a bit snobbish about classics and stuff like that, but these are amazing, and they have like helped shape fantasy. So give them a read at some point, even if you don't like it, just give it a read, and you can stop. But like, try it at least once. Most of those were in the reading list, but I've got one more that's outside of that, and this one is a slightly longer series. It's by Brandon Sanderson again, of course, because I talk about him a bit too much on this channel, but this is The Way of Kings. This one is like a smaller copy. It's like tiny, but it's got like 1,000 pages. This is, yeah, The Way of Kings, Stormlight Archive is the series, and there's 4 out at the minute, and there's a 5th one coming out in a couple of years. But if you can finish the 4 in that time, you might be able to get the next one when it comes out. But this one is more of like a, I don't even know how to describe this one other than the fact that it's on a much grander scale, a lot larger series. Yeah, only 4 books, but they're all 1,000 pages each, so a lot more content. And if you like extensive worlds, and especially like good character development, and more of like a deep dive into like the emotional side of some of the characters, like, and you like to have emotional stakes like that, these ones are very good. There's a few characters in this one. The 3 main ones are like Dalinar, Shallan, and Kaladin, who are all absolutely phenomenal and completely like, I don't really know how to say, like, amazingly well written. But there we go. Those are my recommendations from the inspirational reading list. Like I said, I added one more on there at the end. There is also, before I forget, there's listed books by N.K. Jemisin. There's also the 5th season. Go check that one out. That one's very good. So that's my recommendations. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, go like, leave a comment, all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.